Have you ever looked at a birth chart and wondered, how do they know exactly where a planet is? Well, it's not some kind of mystical guesswork. It's actually pure geometry. And today, we're going to pull back the curtain on this super elegant coordinate system that's used to map the entire cosmos. So, really, how do you do it? How do you take this massive three-dimensional universe and flatten it onto a map that we can actually read and use? How do you give a planet a specific address as it moves through the sky? That's the exact puzzle we're going to solve together today. So here's our game plan. First, we'll build our cosmic map from scratch. Then we're going to find its super important starting point. After that, we'll look at the two different ways of measuring a planet's location, find the four main landmarks of the zodiac, and finally, we'll get into why this whole system is so important in the first place. All right, let's dive right in with the absolute foundation of our cosmic map. It all starts with the simplest shape you can imagine, a circle. Yup, at the heart of everything is a perfect 360-degree circle. Just think of it like the Earth's orbit around the sun. It's a 360-degree journey. Every single measurement, every position in its entire system, it all starts with that one simple number. But of course, we don't just leave it as a big empty circle. We take those 360 degrees and we slice them up into 12 perfectly equal sections. A little quick math, that's 30 degrees for each slice. And each one of those 30-degree pieces of the pie, that becomes one of the 12 signs of the zodiac. Okay, but any good map needs a "You Are Here" sticker, right? A map is pretty useless without a starting line. So, on this 360-degree wheel, where exactly do we start counting from? And here it is. The official starting line for the entire zodiac is called the Aries point. This is our 0 degrees. This is ground zero. Every other position on this whole map is measured from this one specific spot. Now here's where it gets a little weird. You'd probably think the starting point would be right at the top, like 12 o'clock on a watch, but it's not. The Aries point is actually over at the 9 o'clock position. And that's not just random. It lines up with the vernal equinox, the exact moment that marks the first day of spring. And from that 9 o'clock starting position, all the movement is tracked going counterclockwise. So we start at 0 degrees Aries, and then we make our journey around the circle, moving up and to the right. So we've got our map, we've got a starting line. Now, how do we actually talk about where a planet is? Well, it turns out there are two main ways to do it, and they actually work together. The first way is what we call the absolute angle. Think of this like the total mileage from the starting line. The second way is the reference angle. This is more like a street address. It tells you how far you are into a specific sign, like how far down the block you are. Let's make this real. Let's walk through an example. So imagine we have a planet that's at an absolute angle of 45 degrees. What that means is it has traveled 45 degrees counterclockwise from that starting Aries point. Now, we already know that first sign, Aries, takes up the very first 30 degrees of the circle. Well, since our planet is at 45 degrees, it means it's already gone all the way through Aries and is now in the next slice of the zodiac. And this is where it all clicks together. So after it passed the 30 degrees of Aries, our planet had to travel another 15 degrees to get to 45. That means its reference angle is 15 degrees of Taurus. See? It's just two different ways of saying the exact same thing. And here's the key takeaway. Both of these methods are perfectly valid. Most of the time, you're probably going to hear astrologers use the reference angle, saying something like 15 degrees of Taurus. But that absolute angle is absolutely crucial for some of the more advanced calculations. So our map is really starting to take shape now. And just like a compass has its four cardinal directions, north, south, east, west, the zodiac has four major landmarks that kind of anchor the whole system. We call these the four cardinal points. We start at 0 degrees, the Aries point, which kicks off spring. Then, a quarter of the way around the circle at 90 degrees, we hit the Cancer point, which starts summer. Halfway around, at 180 degrees, is the Libra point, the beginning of fall. And finally, at 270 degrees, we have the Capricorn point, marking the start of winter. Okay, we have built the map, we've found our starting point, we've identified the key landmarks. But that brings us to the most important question of all. Why? What's the point of this whole elaborate geometric system? Well, it really all comes down to creating a universal language. This is a celestial coordinate system that allows anyone, anywhere on the planet, to talk about the precise location of a planet without any confusion.
You can think of it like the latitude and longitude for the zodiac.
And this is where that absolute angle really gets to shine. It's not just for figuring out basic placement. It becomes the mathematical engine behind really advanced techniques, like calculating the exact midpoint between two different planets.
So let's just boil it all down real quick. The zodiac is basically just a 360-degree circle chopped up into 12 signs of 30 degrees each. Everything, and I mean everything, starts at the 0-degree Aries point over at the 9 o'clock position, and it all moves counterclockwise. And we can pinpoint any planet using either its total distance from the start or its local address inside a specific sign.
So what we've uncovered is a system that's incredibly elegant and precise. We now have the where for any planet in the sky. But that leaves us with a much, much bigger question. Now that we know where the planets are, what do they actually do? And that, my friends, is a story for another time.